Wednesday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation. We're coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Happy Wednesday to you and you and you and you and you and you. It's hump day. It's Trump day. You know they call it hump day. They say, Mike. What day is it, Mike? It's hump day. No, it's Trump day. We understand it. Wait a second. We understand it. It's Trump day. What a tremendous day that we're having. We're doing a tremendous job. A fantastic job, really. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Just one more word of thanks to everybody who continue. I mean, it's wild. I had no idea this was going to happen. Who's continued to share this Bad Bunny video. We're into the middle of the week. By far, my most viewed post ever on X, 8 million views. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has shared it. Appreciate it. It's very humbling to see that much go on. Yeah, you got to understand, I just record it and I'm like, okay, this is cool. You know, a little bit of fun stuff, Super Bowl weekend. To see something take off like that, so many people appreciate it. So I'm very grateful for all of your support. So thank you very much to everybody who has shared it and enjoyed it. And let's take that energy when we respond to funny videos. And I'm planning something for Valentine's Day. We'll have a little fun this weekend. Maybe a little poem from your favorite president. But let's take that energy and let's apply that to something. Not that this isn't meaningful. As I said, it means a lot to me that you're sharing some content. But let's share that. Let's share this link the same way we shared the Bad Bunny video across all platforms. I think we eclipsed 12 million views. It's pretty cool. And let's also take that energy and let's apply it to putting some pressure on the Senate right now, because I don't like what I see. And, of course, this is kind of me being facetious, but kind of me being annoyed. The Anna Paulina Luna rule strikes again. Everything that Anna Paulina Luna says, you can count on the opposite happening. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be negative. I want to be positive today and, inspire some action today. But as I mentioned, last week, she said, we got assurances that the standing filibuster's coming back. And now we find out quite literally the opposite, that Thune and the Senate don't look like they're going to be able to bring back the standing filibuster, at least where we are right now. What can be done? Well, it's time for the people to make a difference. It's time for the people to start. We have to do our job. We've got to call our senators. I'm going to be sending in emails from National Write-Your Congressmen, because those have a higher chance of being seen. I'm going to start to send them all over the place today. Going to be doing a pressure campaign, because we have to hit our senators and Senate leadership. That means Senate Majority Leader John Thune. That means Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso. These are the folks that are in charge of getting the support behind causes that we, the people, want to see moved forward in both chambers of Congress. It looks like the House is going to be able to pass the Save America Act, which is a little bit of a newer version of the SAVE Act that passed in 2024. The Save America Act also going into voter ID. This is important. This is not just like a little, tax cuts for one group of people or, additional borders. This is important. This is securing our elections. We all cared about, we're all election integrity enthusiasts, I think. Sometimes I get a little, not annoyed, but tired of going down the same path every time about mail-in ballots and voting machines and all that. I think a great first step would be to require ID when you're registering to vote, proof of citizenship, and when you go vote, proof who you say you are when you're exercising one of the most important rights and performing one of the most important civic duties in this in the history of the electorate here in our country. I want to see this passed, and unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks like the Senate's getting weak. So we have to push them back in the right direction. I want you to understand something. Weakness can move in both ways. It could be moved against us, but it can also be used in favor of us, right? If something is weak, if something is easily moved, it doesn't mean it can only be easily moved in one direction. It means it can be easily moved in all directions, right? It's like when the wind You know, the wind is blowing outside. Sometimes I'll take the cover off of my grill. The wind is blowing and it'll start moving across the yard. Well, if the wind shifted the opposite way, it would move back the other way, right? Because the cover of my grill is light. It acts like a sail, right? So think of it the same way. You see how the Senate is being pushed in the direction of weakness, or the direction away from us, the anti-American, anti-constituent direction. They're not listening. Well, if they're weak, that means they can be moved the other way as well. And so we have to look at this and say, okay, the Senate is weak, but we can use their weakness against them in favor of us. Let's dial up the pressure campaign. Call John Thune's office. Call your senators. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. 84% of Americans want ID, some proof of ID, to register to vote and to vote in our elections. 84%. This is one of those situations where, you know, we always say the border was an 80-20 issue. Men and women's sports was an 80-20 issue. You know, taxes is an 80-20 issue. All of those different things. We are clearly on the 80 side. Clearly, every poll that's being done is showing that we're on the 80 side, which means the Democrats are on the 20 side. And the Senate should not be taking the side of the 20%. It just blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind how the American people can overwhelmingly support either a piece of legislation like the Save America Act or, you know, a concept that the Save America Act revolves around. In this case, supporting proof of citizenship requirements when you're registering to vote and photo ID when you're in the polling place. And yet the Senate, who's supposed to represent us, the people, is just ignoring it. As if everything that we're saying, we're not actually saying it. They work for us. Our tax dollars pay their salaries, right? Let's not get anything twisted here. They are your servants. You are not their subjects. You are their constituents. You are not peasants. You are not beneath them. They are beneath you. You pay them. You have the authority. You are their boss. You are their supervisor. You are their superior. Right now, we are quite literally dealing with taxation. They're taxing you, paying themselves their salary off of your tax dollars without representation. And this is not one of these things where I'm like, okay, well, 30% of us say we want it, you know, so let's put forth this facade that we're bigger than we actually are. 84% of Americans want some form of ID to be presented when you vote, proof of citizenship when you register to vote. It is time for the Senate to hear us peacefully, respectfully, but it's time for the Senate to hear us. Call your senator, call John Thune, call Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso. You can find their information on the Google machine. I don't have it all ready for you right now, but the Google machine will tell you that. We could be Google. We could be making phone calls. Mayor Eric Adams. We could use the Google machine and we can get a lot of work done. We got to do it. Because the Save America Act has the potential to be a generational piece of legislation, and they're just ignoring it. They're kicking the can down the road. They're lying. They're giving mixed messages. Well, let's move their weakness. Let's use their weakness in our favor this time and push them to obey and acquiesce to our demands because that's their job. And again, it's not like this is an evenly split thing. We're like, oh, it can go either way. 84% of Americans are on our side. So let's get this done. I guess I'll touch on this real quick, too, because I haven't said a word about it. And it's been going on for about 11 days. This Nancy Guthrie situation. Look, I don't want to sound like I don't care because I do care. I obviously want to see Nancy Guthrie come home. I hope she's okay. This is an incredibly just wild story. And as what normally happens with, you know, tragedies or wild stories, there's a lot of noise. The signal is very hard to track down. You know, I know there were theories about, are the Clintons involved? And I don't blame you for floating that because, you know, they're nasty people. I don't know if the Clintons have ever been involved in a kidnapping before. Usually they just, it's a suicide. Oops, sorry. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry about that. What?
It's a different situation. That's why people are saying that. Because her husband worked with them, and so they want him to stay quiet. So by keeping the mom hostage, they can be like, as long as you stay quiet, she'll stay alive.
Usually,
as soon as you peep.
Yeah. Usually the Clintons just, somebody turns up dead, they rule it a suicide, or in this Seth Rich. Well, but we don't know if she's alive yet.
They wouldn't have anything to hold over their heads to keep them quiet at that point.
Well, usually the threat is enough to send the message. That's usually what it is. But I don't think that they're involved. Of course, anything's possible because there's not a lot of information out there. What I will say is that the guy looked like a guy walking up to the house with the ski mask and the mustache and the whole thing, the gloves. It just doesn't look professional to me, right? Kind of looks kind of weird. Unfortunately, I agree with the Winnemucca, the paraglider. That one in there. That's too long of a name. It's a nice name, but it's too long of a name. I tend to agree that she's probably not alive. I hope I'm wrong. But there's been no proof of life. And, it's a sad story.
So sad. I hate
there's not much I can really do about it. We're not going to go investigative. There's not much we can really say other than, we hope that she comes back alive. It's a terrible situation. It's a bizarre situation. And we don't know who's responsible. They had somebody detained last night. Apparently that person was not, was released. What I read about the person who was detained last night is that it was an Uber Eats driver or a DoorDash or one of these, food delivery service that was delivering food to the home. So I don't.
Wait, I haven't heard that one.
That's the person who was detained last night.
Oh.
They detained an Uber Eats driver. So I don't know if that person was sent there by some sort of.
Like the pizzas that we were getting.
Like the pizzas, or was this somebody who was trying to do something nice for the authorities and say, here's some free food? I have no idea. But the authorities said, please don't do that. But was that a taunt? I don't know. This guy, apparently they released him because he's not connected with anything. They've been in Annie Guthrie. That's the sister, right? Savannah's sister. Mm-hmm. They've been in her neighborhood. SWAT teams are mobilized yesterday. Bomb squads were mobilized yesterday. So, and obviously, the FBI and the authorities are keeping it very tight-lipped because you're still dealing with a potential hostage situation. So, it's just a sad story. But there's horrible. There's not really much that people are talk about. What am I going to do? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just saying, there's always going to be, this idea that somebody kidnapped Nancy Guthrie, which is what looks like what happened. And then there's, a laundry list of in the court of public opinion, the suspects. But right now there's currently no suspect. So, sad story, and hopefully we get a peaceful resolution. It's been 11 days. 11 days. And you know what I'm getting tired of hearing when I listen to Fox News or anybody really talking about the situation, and they're saying how amateurish this guy looks, right? Okay, what is he wearing those gloves for? That looks silly. And he dangles a plant in front of the camera. Well,
I haven't found him yet.
You could say he's an amateur all you want. It does look strange. It definitely doesn't look like, professional, or at least the way the movies would portray somebody doing this. The point was made that hey, if this was somebody who was casing the house, how did he forget about the Nest camera, the doorbell camera? And he clearly was surprised by it and went and picked up a plant and hung it in front. If you were casing the house and you knew that camera was there, wouldn't you come kind of prepared for that and put something over it and then dismantle it while you don't have to hide your face? Yeah, everyone's talking about how much of an amateur this guy is. Oh, this doesn't look like a professional. But he's evaded any sort of detection for almost 2 weeks. So this is not me patting the criminal on the back. I'm just saying, can we maybe, oh, look at this guy. Look at the gloves. He's so stupid. And he has to dangle a plant. But, we haven't found him. So I could do without that type of commentary. So anyway, we hope that for the best resolution in this case. It's very sad. And, I think it was said many times, Savannah Guthrie may not be somebody who politically we agree with, and none of that matters. Because here's the difference between us and them. If, let's say, Melania's father got kidnapped, the left would be throwing parades and they would be building statues of the kidnapper. They would be thrilled that something terrible happened to one of the members of the first family. We're not like that, right? We're not like that. And I said it when Joe Biden was diagnosed with cancer. We're not celebrating cancer on this show. I saw some people, yeah, screw them, great. Nope. Yeah, that's not the way we behave. So, and this could happen. Obviously, this could happen to anybody. Nobody wants to see it happen. So the difference between us and them is that we do still have some compassion, right? And I think we can all, outside of politics, unite around the idea that we do hope 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie is alive and comes home and is okay. Yeah. I just think with each passing day that goes by, obviously that's less and less likely, but that's all I have to say on it. I have no idea what's going on outside of, what's being reported. And I'm definitely not going to dive down, bad bunny holes and start naming a gajillion suspects just because I don't like them or anything like that, right? So we got to let the authorities do their thing. If you know anything, obviously send your tip in. But we hope and pray that Nancy Guthrie comes back alive, because very sad situation. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to get to a word from our friends at OFP Farms. I've got a little bit of news for you on the filibuster. Actually, a lot of news for you on the filibuster. It's not great news, but again, if we know that the Senate is weak, we can push them in our direction, right? We can use their weakness to our advantage. If they're weak, it doesn't mean they're just weak one way. It means they can be pushed and bent another way as well. So we're going to get into that. Let's talk to you about our friends over at OFPFarms.com. They are nestled in the scenic foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. OFP Farms is more than just a farm. It embodies a tradition of quality and care, proudly operating since 2014. OFP Farms goats are lovingly raised, roaming open pastures, and breathing fresh air, which ensures that the milk that their goats produce is the greatest milk. Nobody's ever seen milk like it. It's the greatest goat milk in the history of the world. It is the gold standard of goat milk on OFP Farms from their goats. The creamy goat milk soaps and moisturizers and their nourishing tallow-based balms are thoughtfully crafted with your family's well-being in mind. OFP Farms is committed to sustainable farming practices, providing natural and wholesome products that you can rely on. Whether you're in search of gentle skincare solutions or you simply wish to indulge in the purity of farm fresh goods, OFP Farms warmly invites you to explore their website. That is OFPFarms.com. Their mission is to bring a piece of their farm into your home, nurturing your family with the finest that nature has to offer. Check it out at OFPFarms.com. That's Oscar Foxtrot Papa Farms.com. OFPFarms.com. Use the promo code Sean. I use the pina colada. Look at this. We love the pina colada. Goat Kisses Lip Balm. It has been 3 years now. 3 years since Brennan told me, hey, you know that chapstick that you use all the time? You just bless you. You're just slathering it on all the time. She's like, look at who owns it. I'm like, what do you mean look at who owns it? She goes, look at the label, look at the small thing. Owned by Pfizer. Chapstick is. Saying, all right, that's out. Goodbye. And it is OFP Farms Goat Kisses Lip Balm. That has been my go-to lip balm. I'm a lip licker. It's like a habit. It's involuntary. So I need this stuff, and it's the best. Check it out, OFPFarms.com. Someone asked, what does OFP stand for? Old Fashioned Poly. I think we talked about that way back when we actually interviewed them, Denise and Corey. Old Fashioned Poly. Let's see, here it is. KC 2022 says, literally just put the pina colada on. There you go. So OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean for 10%, 10% off. OFPFarms.com, promo code SHAWN. Another quick word from our friends at Armra Colostrum. It's tryarmra.com/LFATV, TRYARMRA.com/LFATV. I do love me some colostrum. It has made a huge difference. I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity, my gut health, improve my fitness and my metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance. That is what colostrum can do for you, and then some. Colostrum is the very first nutrition that we receive in life. We stop receiving it after we're little tiny little people. Babies. They say babies, they get the colostrum from the milk, and then we stop getting it. So why would you want to stop getting the first nutrition that we receive in life? It contains all the essential nutrients that our bodies need in order to thrive. You don't have to stop. You can restart that. Check it out. TryArmor.com/LFATV. Colostrum can help reactivate your hair growth and help your skin glow. Can help fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism. And it can help fuel your fitness, performance, and recovery. Check it out at TryArmor.com/LFATV. That's TryArmor.com/LFATV for up to 30% off of your first order. TryArmor, TryArmor.com/LFATV, TryArmor.com/LFATV. All right. Gosh,
I'll be right back. I'm running like
Brendan will be right back. There she goes. And let's get into the filibuster. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week actually, this is what Anna Paulina Luna told us. This is not me trying to dunk on her. I've done enough of that over the course of the last year. But this is what she said, and a lot of things have changed over the last 7 days. Watch.
And Rich and Luna and myself are not willing to allow that.
So based on your discussion, it sounds like you're moving towards.
Yes, based on our discussion right now, we're moving towards it. Also, we got assurances on the standing filibuster, which is incredibly important. I don't know if you guys remember when I was talking about inherent contempt. A lot of people didn't know what that is. The standing filibuster is an old school parliamentary procedure, but it's a way to break through what we consider traditional norms to get voter ID passed. I think that it's brilliant that they came up with it, but exactly that's why we kind of have these discussions.
All right, so she said that they got assurances. Well, I don't know if that was accurate. Now, the question is, was she lied to or was she lying? Here's what I think was going on. I think Anna Paulina Luna loves attention. I think she likes to make extraordinary claims. We've seen this. We saw it after the Binder Gate almost a year ago. She said that, phase 2 is coming soon, deleted that tweet. We've seen her talking about insider trading and the Pelosi Act and, we're going to pass it, we're going to pass it, we're going to pass it. Nothing has come of that. Last July, she said that Jerome Powell's firing was imminent. He is not being fired. He's just going to run out his term. Now we got last week about the filibuster. Sounded great. People got excited. I got excited. I thought there was maybe a little bit more to it because Congressman Burchett was with her, but that seemed to just be the Anna Paulina Luna show over there. So again, I'm not trying to do this and dunk on her and I believe she's on our side. I just think she's very irresponsible with her mouth. I think she's very irresponsible with the things that she says, and I think she has zero credibility. And that's just me. You could disagree with me all you want. She has a track record of being wrong. It's kind of like Jim Cramer. And we get mad at the meteorologist or the weather app on the phone when it says it's going to be sunny and there's clouds. We should be really upset when our elected representatives who make their salaries on our tax dollars repeatedly come out and make these claims that get us excited and then ultimately leads to them being wrong, and it's a letdown. I'm tired of it. If you don't know, if what you're saying is not 100% true and you're a member of Congress, just shut it. It would have been much easier if she said, we're trying to get these assurances. She said we had the assurances. Right now, it doesn't look very good. The Save America Act is a Republican-backed election integrity measure which would require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote, including by mail, mandate photo ID for federal elections, direct states to verify citizenship, and remove non-citizens from federal voter rolls. This is a very important piece of legislation. We need to do everything in our power to get this legislation passed. Period. Full stop. We need to do everything in our power to get this legislation passed. The standing filibuster is something I've been talking about since over the summer, right? Or maybe not over the summer, maybe during the government shutdown, where I was very lukewarm, right? You saw me, it kind of went through a little transitionary phase where I was like, well, I don't want to nuke the filibuster because what happens if the Democrats get power again? Well, they're going to nuke it anyway. We know that, right? They're posturing now as they would never do something like that. They tried. Let's not forget that the Democrats tried to nuke the filibuster when they had the House, when they had the Senate, when they had Joe Biden as the president. They tried it already and they failed because of Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, right? So they're going to do it again if they have a chance. We know that. So my point was, well, why don't we do it? Why don't we do it and at least get what we can get or take what we can get after doing it, while we have the chance. Do it on our terms instead of doing it on theirs. The middle ground, and this is something that I definitely support, I don't mind having the filibuster in the Senate if it's actually used properly. You're not filibustering if you're not filibustering. Like, what? It sounded like a yogiism, right? If you see a fork in the road, take it. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. These are things that don't make sense, right? You're not filibustering if you're not filibustering. What do I mean by that? Well, the filibuster it means essentially endless debate, right? A filibuster is when somebody is standing in front of the Senate talking for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. And the only way you can make it stop is to either wait it out until it's over, or you get 60 votes to end debate. You get the majority of the Senate to say, this stunt you're doing, we're all done. We have 60 votes, and we're going to vote for you to sit down and shut up so we can get this legislation passed. That's what the filibuster used to be. It used to be, hey, if we don't like this legislation. We're going to start lining up our people, and they're going to speak for hours upon hours upon hours on end until we can reach some sort of compromise. Well, they took that away in the 70s, and now it put into place what Senator Mike Lee of Utah calls the zombie filibuster, right? The zombie filibuster essentially is you don't have to get up and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. You just have to say, we don't have 60 votes to end debate, even though there's no debate. That's the problem. There's not actually a debate going on when legislation is blocked, right? There's not actually any sort of conversation or dialogue happening on the floor of the Senate when you invoke cloture, which ends the filibuster and ends debate, right? So the way it used to work is legislation leaves the House, shows up in the Senate starts debating on it. They're getting ready to move it to a full vote, but you need 60 votes in order to get past the debate phase in the Senate to move on to the full vote phase in the Senate. This is the problem that we're having because there isn't actually this long debate, all right? The filibuster, one of the most high-profile examples of the talking filibuster came during the debate over the Civil Rights Act of 1957 when South Carolina Democrat Senator Strom Thurmond spoke for over 24 hours in an attempt to block the legislation. He joined the Republican Party in 1964. Since then, modern filibusters have largely relied on the threat of extended debate rather than continuous speeches, making Thurmond's effort a rare example of the classic talking filibuster. A common criticism of the federal voter identification bill is that if enacted, it could pave the way for federalizing elections, which we don't want, and encroach on state authority. The standing filibuster. This is what happens. I'm trying to find this actual procedure here with the standing filibuster. I think it might be in the second article. The point that I'm trying to make here is that what would happen here when you have the filibuster, when somebody's actually debating, there is something called the Senate Rule 19, the two-speech rule. If the Republican Senate chooses to proceed with the talking filibuster, it require Majority Leader Thune to take an active role in calling live quorums, compelling Democrats to speak, and enforcing Senate Rule 19, which is the two-speech rule. This is the way it would work. It essentially... I'm trying to make this easy to understand and not be all over the place, but it's tough because this is like really mundane stuff. It's not the most exciting stuff, but this is all that's going on. Under the tradition, I'm going to read straight from this piece here, Daily Caller. This is done very well. Under a traditional talking filibuster, opposition is worn down through continuous floor speeches or enforcement of the two-speech rule, which we just mentioned is Senate Rule 19, which limits each senator to 2 speeches on the same legislative question per legislative day. By keeping the Senate in continuous session and refusing to adjourn, the majority can prevent the minority from resetting those speech limits. Okay? This approach shifts the burden to the minority to maintain constant floor presence, meaning those who are undertaking this filibuster and filibustering are on the floor of the Senate speaking, and uninterrupted debate, imposing sustained physical and mental demands to preserve the filibuster. Here's the thing. Once all of the speeches are exhausted, right? Once that's all done and a quorum is present, the majority leader may put the question to the chamber and proceed to a simple majority vote. Okay? Because once the 60 votes were needed to end the filibuster. But if the filibuster ends on its own, in other words, if the Democrats get tired of continuously speaking, you don't need the 60 votes to end the filibuster. At that point, the filibuster is over. It's ended. The long debate is done. Cloture, the motion to end debate, is unnecessary because the debate ended on its own. And no Senate rules have been changed or overridden. Operating entirely within Senate rules that exist, this would allow Majority Leader John Thune, with a quorum present, to bring the measure to a final vote with 51 votes, as the 60-vote cloture threshold no longer applies once the filibuster has run its course. My question is, are the Democrats dedicated enough to stand on the floor of the Senate, actually stand on the floor of the Senate, and speak for 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, all of that? That's where my math ends. Was that 96 is the next one, and then we're done, because then we get into triple digits, and I just can't do it. Are the Democrats dedicated enough to do that? Well, I'm willing to find out. Apparently, John Thune and the Republican-led Senate is not. John Thune says that there is currently right now no way that this is, not no way, but John Thune said that he supported the Save America Act, but there's not enough support in the Senate to change the filibuster and clear a path for the controversial bill. The House is expected to vote this week. I think they may even have a vote on it today, which would require people to prove their citizenship to register to vote and show ID at the ballot box. GOP hardliners, and I don't like the way this is a CNBC article, but it gives a good breakdown. GOP hardliners have called for a return to the standing filibuster, which requires Congress members to physically be present and talking on the Senate floor to delay legislation. John Thune said on Tuesday that there's not enough support to end the zombie filibuster rule, which is a shame because it's what everybody wants to see. And it's the one rule that is blocking, it's currently standing in the way of having the Save America Act, this Voter ID Act, this Proof of Citizenship to Register to Vote Act from being passed. You would think when you see 84% of the American people getting behind a piece of legislation and you have an obstacle, you go, I want to appease the 84%. I want to get around the obstacle. I want to get around the one thing that's standing in the way of what 84% of this country wants. It's not like it's 60%. It's not like it's 55%. We're like, well, technically the majority. 84%. This is across all parties. This is across all races, all affiliations. I'll play this from Harry Enton and then we'll take a quick break. I've played this a million times, but I'm just showing you how significant the overwhelming majority. I don't want to be like semantic splitting hairs. Oh, well, the majority of the country, it's like 50.002%. Yeah, that's technically the majority. But this is an overwhelming majority of Americans. Nicki Minaj, we talked about it last week, common sense, support ID to vote and proof of citizenship when registering. Here's Harry.
The American people are with Nicki Minaj, because what are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again, Nicki Minaj posting that on X. And what you see is that the American people, actually, it's not really all that controversial. The American people are with Nicki Minaj, whether they are Republican or even if they are Democrats. We're talking about 7 in 10 Democrats agreeing with Nicki Minaj that you, in fact, should show a photo ID to vote.
What's the racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
So something.
There it is, okay? So it's not controversial, and why is the Senate not passing this? You have a significant portion of the Senate that is just ignoring everything that you just saw. I want to address one comment that I saw in the chat that said Thune is the problem, not Luna. Well, maybe politically, yes. Procedurally, yes. But I would like to counter that with this question. When you elect a representative to go to Washington, D.C. to represent you, you have to have some level of trust that person is going to do what you want them to do, what they said they would do, right? There has to be a level of trust there between the representative and the person or the people that the representative is supposed to be representing, correct? I think we could agree. If a representative constantly frequently goes out in public, whether it's on social media, whether it's on television, whether it's, anywhere, and says things that make it look like your will is being represented, right? But then 7 to 10 days afterwards, you find out that the things that this representative said weren't true. Not that she's trying to deceive you. I think that she's being irresponsible. And if it's like giving a bad driver the keys to your car. If I don't trust you to drive my car, if I don't trust you to come into my house and not do damage, and I'm not going to do it. You may be a good person, I just don't trust you. And when it comes to credibility, that's very important when you're dealing with elected representatives. And I believe Anna Paulina Luna has zero credibility because, again, and people are like, you're attacking her. I'm just pointing out something that she did to herself. There was never a phase 2 of Epstein information last year. Jerome Powell has not been fired. She said it was imminent. Jerome Powell has not been fired. The Pelosi Act did not come to a vote in the House. The stock trading ban. She said that was happening. She said they were given assurances that the talking filibuster or the standing filibuster was going to be put in place in the Senate. Now, could she have been lied to by John Thune? Yes. But I asked you last week, would you trust John Thune? Everyone said no. So what does it say about the person's judgment who does trust John Thune? And does that person have good enough judgment to be your representative? So while Thune is absolutely a bigger problem, Luna is also a problem because she's very irresponsible with the things that she says. And I'm just calling balls and strikes. I don't think she's a fake. I don't think she's a traitor. I don't think she's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I do think she's in it for attention. I think she loves being in front of cameras. I think she loves getting reposts and likes. I think she wants to be an influencer. And if that's the case, go do that. Don't be a representative and be irresponsible with your words. Because I'm somebody where if I'm consuming a podcast, if I'm looking at someone's X feed and I see them make a claim and then that claim is wrong or they're proven wrong and they don't come back and take accountability and say, I'm sorry, I got this one wrong, I'm done. Especially if it continuously happens. Right? This is no different, none, than those who said we were going into World War III in June of 2025. And then we were going into World War IV with Venezuela, right? Trump is announcing Venezuela war on television. And then, it's World War V now because we're going back over to Iran. And nobody ever takes accountability for them screwing up and making these claims. Credibility matters. And she has none. I'm sorry. Again, does she vote the right way? Yes. Do I think she's about the right things? Yes. Is she credible in terms of being a source of information? No. All right. Quick word from our friends over at SLNT.com. And some people are still not going to understand that. Stop attacking. I'm not attacking her. I'm pointing out that when she says something, to take it with the biggest and most beautiful grain of salt you've ever seen. Because 9 times out of 10, and I keep going through those examples, the things that she says, the opposite winds up. It's like Jim Cramer. We always rag on Jim Cramer. When he says to buy, you should probably sell. When he says to sell, you should probably buy. Credibility matters. Not just what people say. And I am very, very strict about credibility. I don't want to waste my time thinking about something that somebody says who isn't credible. If you're not credible, I'm ignoring you. I'm assuming everything that you're saying is not true. And there are people who make things up and clickbait. She's doing almost the exact same thing. So is she about the right stuff? I think so. Is she on our side? I think so. Is she a credible source of information? No. Take it however you want. All right, let's go. SLNT.com/Sean, SLNT.com/Sean. Let's face it, guys. Your phone is a tracking device between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint. And they don't ask. They just go on and take it. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal. You know what it means? It means no tracking. It means no remote access. It means no breadcrumbs leading to where you are. It's the same technology trusted by special ops teams around the world, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now, it is available to you to protect your family, to protect your freedom, and to secure your digital footprint. All you've got to do is put your phone in a silent Faraday sleeve, and it is off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbodies, Silent's patented technology gives you control of your privacy. All you got to do is visit slnt.com/Sean, SLNT, Sierra Lima November Tango.com/Sean, Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November, spell it right, to save 15% and get free shipping on qualifying orders. That is Silent, slnt.com/Sean. Protect your rights, secure your data, and stay one step ahead. Silent.com, slnt.com. Silence the chaos and go silent today. That's slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/Sean.
Mo time.
It's Mo time. Very good. You guys learned your lesson yesterday.
Barely.
Whoa.
We've been having to threaten lives again.
There's Mo. All right.
Good morning,
Gotcha.
Mo.
Good morning, Mo. Good morning, everybody. And the last thing I'll say about Luna, 'cause I just don't want to. I'm not saying she should be primaried. I'm just saying when she speaks, let's not cite her as a infallible or credible source of information, because clearly there's a disconnect there between the truth and whatever comes out of her mouth. All right, we're going to move on. Democrats are, how many people remember a couple of weeks ago, and granted, I wasn't thrilled with the way it looked at first, but I didn't, that's it, it's over, we're retreating. How many people remember a couple of weeks ago when Trump put Tom Homan in place as the point man in Minneapolis, the left declared victory? How many people remember that? Do you remember that? We did it! That we're doing Dora the Explorer. We did it. We did it. We did it. Yay! Right? How many people remember when the left declared victory in Minneapolis because Trump swapped out leadership and put Tom Homan in there as the point man? Do you guys remember that? Speak says, I do. Speak gets a golden star. Bad Moon gets a golden star. Gary gets a gold star. B-Hops gets a gold star. Come on, here we go. Oh, Eagle doesn't get a gold star yet. He's on a different question, but he's right. No, not one person in Congress or Senate is credible, so we should not listen to any of them. Then no, I didn't say you shouldn't listen to them. So why is it so hard to like understand? I'm not saying you shouldn't listen. I'm saying, yeah, they're politicians. You should assume that they're probably lying or not telling you the full truth. That's it. Look at all these gold stars in the chat. That's it, right? Good cop, get bad cop. Okay. I remember when Mimo remembers. I remember when they declared victory. Well, if they declared victory, and they say, "Oh, good, ICE is leaving. This is great." Would Hakeem Jeffries, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries. Dollar Hakeem Jeffries. Would he be threatening to shut the government down? It's not really up to him, though. It's up to the Senate. But would Hakeem Jeffries and Democrats be threatening to shut the government down unless ICE is reined in? I thought they were reined in. I thought they declared victory in Minneapolis. So clearly, the left did not get what it wanted in Minneapolis. And now you have Hakeem Jeffries again. You have Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats saying, we're going to shut the government down over ICE. Did I not say that a month and a half ago? Was it a month and a half ago? January 30th? I think it might have been. It was probably early January, so it was maybe about a month ago. Did I not say that they were going to continuously try and shut the government down over ICE? The first time in October, the Schumer siesta, remember, sombreros? They did it over illegal aliens getting health care. They wanted to give health care to illegal aliens. This is once again about illegal aliens. They want ICE to be, quote unquote, reined in. What do you mean reined in? They're enforcing federal law. They could be a hell of a lot more brutal. I actually commend their restraint. The way that they're acting and conducting business right now. But they're on the same page. These people are on the same page as their talking heads in the media, the propagandists in the mainstream media. This one came from CBS. Did you hear about this whole story that came out? Well, the administration said that they were only going after the worst of the worst. But, 14% of those arrested have even been convicted or accused of crimes. 14%. Well, this is all nonsense. Because first of all, Laken Riley's killer, for example. Laken Riley's killer had no violent criminal convictions before he killed Lake and Riley. You understand what I'm saying? Does that mean that I think that every illegal alien in this country is going to kill a girl out for a run? Does that mean that I think that every single illegal alien in this country is a violent criminal that is going to murder somebody? Does that mean that I believe that every single person, maybe overstayed a visa, came into the country illegally, whether it was now or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, is the worst person imaginable? No. But this is why I say worst first for sure, but rest next, because you don't know. And if that person's in this country illegally, well, they shouldn't be here. They shouldn't even have the opportunity to commit a violent offense against anybody or anything in this country. Period. So here's this. The White House absolutely debunked this ridiculous story. CBS News put out a hit piece on the Trump administration's immigration enforcement agenda, noting that internal DHS documents indicated that less than 14% of nearly 400,000 immigrants arrested by ICE in Trump's first year back in the White House had charges or convictions for violent criminal offenses. Quote, nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past year had criminal charges or convictions. Nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past years had criminal charges or convictions, the document indicates. But among that 60%, the majority of the criminal charges or convictions were not for violent crime. Does that matter? Does that matter? If you came into this country illegally, that's already a crime. Okay?
Yep.
That's already a crime. If you then commit another offense, right? Let's say, I don't know, what's a nonviolent crime?
Stealing.
I would consider
shoplifting.
Yeah, let's say petty larceny, right? You stole gum out of a 7-Eleven or something, right? And you got caught shoplifting. Nonviolent, no deadly weapon, no weapon at all. You just got caught stealing something. Well, for all intents and purposes, let's say that that's nonviolent, okay? Because it is. You're not using violence, but you're still breaking the law. So if you came into the country illegally and you get caught stealing, let's say you stole $300 worth of stuff from a store. That's bad. That's a lot, but it's not violent, right? You didn't attack anybody. You didn't put your hands on anybody. You didn't threaten anybody. You just stole. This is not me defending stealing, by the way, okay? But we're going to, for all intents and purposes, say nonviolent crime. So you're not a citizen, you're not a legal resident, you're not legally present in the United States, and you've committed a crime. Well, what is ICE supposed to do? Ignore the fact that you're not illegal, that you're not legally present in the country? No. You say, oh, that guy who stole from your store is illegal? Give him to us. We will enforce federal immigration law. You basically became detectable. ICE is not just going to ignore those people. Tricia McLaughlin observed in response, drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, human smuggling are all categorized as nonviolent crimes, okay? Again, we just went through what are nonviolent crimes. Technically, drug trafficking is a nonviolent crime. I disagree. I think trafficking drugs is very violent because it can kill people. It can wreck lives. It may not be some sort of, you're not physically throwing punches. You may not be physically drawing blood. But I believe, take your semantics out of it, that's a violent offense. Distribution of child pornography, I believe, is violent. You have, again, you're not committing violence against an individual, but it's disgusting. Burglary, fraud. Fraud may not be physically violent. It's absolutely financially violent. DUI, that could get somebody killed. Solicitation of a minor, that's disgusting. Human smuggling, people aren't smuggled for fun. And sugar honey iced teas and giggles. Generally, there's coercion there. But these are things that are categorized as nonviolent crimes. But drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, human smuggling, they may be nonviolent crimes, but they're still heinous crimes. The report also focused on the following statistic. Nearly 40% of all those arrested by ICE in Trump's first year back, I think I'm on the right slide here, am I? Yes. did not have any criminal record at all and were only accused of civil immigration offenses. What that leaves out is that some of the violent offenders living in the United States either had no criminal history or had a record of relatively minor offenses before they committed a violent crime, including Jose Ibarra, the Venezuelan illegal alien who was just convicted in November of 24 for murdering Laken Riley. So he was in the country illegally. He had no criminal history. He had no violent offenses until he did, and somebody died. Do you get it? This is the type of stuff that makes me sick. Oh, you're not really going after the worst first. Yes, we are. Well, the ones that you're arresting aren't being, don't have history of violent crime, 60%. Okay, but child porn, human smuggling, drug trafficking, burglary. So you're telling me because those aren't categorized as violent criminals, you want those people in your community? Are you nuts? Barry Weiss better get a hold of what's going on over there on CBS. We got to take a quick break and get to a word from our friends at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. But please don't let the left run with this narrative that they're not going after the worst of the worst. Please do whatever you got to do that last segment and just get the information from there. And don't let them run with this narrative, please, because it's ridiculous and it's incredibly misleading. We're going to end on a little bit of good news, though, in just a second. So before we get there and before we do that, I've got a really cool Team USA hockey story. This is the way athletes should be. Leave it to hockey players to be the ones that we're proud of. Usually seems to be the case on this show. Whether it's Ivan Provorov when he was with the Flyers and refused to indulge in the pride stuff, which was a domino effect, or it's these Tkachuk brothers. I love them. It's a nice story. But first, a word from our friends at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
I'm sure by now you've heard that silver went up 160% last year, 2025. I bought this silver for $22 an ounce. It's now worth almost $100. And we and experts think that silver is going to get up to about $200 an ounce. Palladium and platinum were stuck at $900 an ounce for like over a year, or in that area. Now they're up over $2,000. Gold is approaching $5,000 an ounce. If you have ever thought about putting some or all of your retirement or nest egg or savings or just buying bullion in precious metals, now's the time to do it. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Go leave your name, your email, and your phone number. Schedule a time to talk to the folks over at Golden Crest Metals. Get your free gold guide today, and make sure you tune in on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Crest Report, where we dive deep into precious metals, why they're doing what they're doing, and where we expect them to go. It is like insider trading. Nancy Pelosi knows about that. We don't. It's just inside information. It's not even really that. It's called knowledge. Get yours today and get a part of gold, silver, palladium, and platinum and diversify your portfolio today. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Thank you, Jeremy and Golden Crest, for being a part of the show. We appreciate that. I saw that Brennan said she saw a very good analogy, right? Like you have a bunch of grapes. One of them is poisonous. You don't know which one, but if you eat that one, it can kill you. Do you take your chances? No, you throw out the grapes, right? Russian roulette. Let's say you have one bullet, 6 chambers, and you spin it. You could pull the trigger and you could kill yourself, or you could say, I don't trust this game at all. I'm going to get rid of the whole thing. That's the illegal and alien analogy. Some of them are violent. Some of them aren't. Some of them aren't violent until they are, like Jose Ibarra, who killed Laken Riley. He was here, had not committed any violent crimes that we know of on his record until he killed somebody, right? So just because they don't have a criminal record doesn't mean, and that goes for anybody, by the way.
Can't take your chances either way.
Can't take your chance. And the reason why you focus on the illegals, well, why don't you just put everybody in jail then? Because anybody could commit a crime at any time. Well, no, we're American citizens. We don't do that. These people are not supposed to be here. So we take away the opportunity that they may have at some point to commit that violent crime because they're not supposed to be here. Not hard.
And the cities where they clean them up, the violent crime goes down.
Oh, I would imagine that. Imagine that. All right. Here is what we need on the world stage with our athletes. Hockey players, this is the example that all other athletes should follow. When you go to the Olympics, you are representing the United States of America. It is an honor. It is a privilege for you to do so. These skiers that were doing this, oh, well, it's kind of shameful. It's this, that. No. Take a page out of the book of Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. They're some of the most pesky hockey players in the NHL. It's like you love him if he's on your team, but you hate him if you're playing against them because they're physical and he's always in your face and starting fights and he's scrappy. It's just he's like an old school type of hockey player. Both of them, the Tkachuk brothers. Remember last year when the United States and Canada were playing that Four Nations tournament, the Tkachuks were starting fights and, going out there and playing hard. So here's Brady Tkachuk first, Matthew Tkachuk second in this video. And they're just, Brady is a little more explicit and forward about it, but they are excited to be representing the United States in the world stage. And this needs to be applauded. This needs to be commended and amplified. This is the way our athletes should behave on the world stage.
I mean, this is being able to represent the U.S. at this stage in the Olympics is one of the greatest honors that I've ever had. So I'm truly grateful to be here representing the red, white, and blue.
I think it kind of means the world. It's really like a whirlwind of emotions. Flying here this morning, hanging out in the village all day, and then getting fitted for our clothes, and just meeting athletes, and then coming here and practicing. And now it's all like, oh my gosh, like day one's over. Like it's kind of crazy. So really enjoying the experience so far and having a lot of fun.
So there you go, brother. The director of 2020 says, the director of 2020 in the chat says, I hate the brothers when they play my Red Wings, but I love them as American hockey players. That's the type of player that Brady and Matthew Tkachuk are. Love these guys. That's the way it should be. All right, couple of notes. Tomorrow morning, going to be a very interesting morning for us. I will be filling in for Vince Colonnese live on Bongino Report at 8 a.m. All right, so I'll be filling in there live, and then obviously back here live 10 a.m. Eastern time for Ungoverned. That's tomorrow morning. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to check it out, we'll be there. Bongino Report filling in for Vince tomorrow morning live at 8 a.m. and then back here live at 10 a.m. for Ungoverned. I'm going to join the Michael Patrick Leahy show in about an hour on the Tennessee Bonus Hour from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Time. You could follow it at Michael P. Leahy on X. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Jeremy Harrell is up next. Jeremy Harrell is up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you share. And as President Trump says, we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never ever surrender. If all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a little story tomorrow about Fulton County. I didn't get to it today, but we'll get to that story tomorrow. Fulton County and the FBI, the 2020 election. So you're not going to want to miss tomorrow's show, both at 8 a.m. with covering for Vince and here at 10 a.m. right here on LFA TV. Both will be live in living color. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your day. Jeremy Harrell up next, and thank you for your attention to this matter.